All right, welcome back, everybody, to our countdown to Spider-Man No Way Home. Once again, joined by
Taylor Johnson.
And today we are going to be reviewing probably the most hated Spider-Man movie with The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I wish it wasn't so hated, man.
So do I. But, so we're going to switch up how we do our reviews a little bit. Sort of taking inspiration for what we do from the Spider-Man 3 video, except not as a rant. We're probably just going to end up structuring these reviews from now on as what we liked and what we didn't like. So, because we've heard some of your, not really complaints, but criticism about how our reviews have just been recapping the movie. So, I feel like this way it might be a little bit better and help condense the videos a lot. Because I'm sure with every video being 40 minutes, it takes a while to get in, to sit down and watch the entire thing. So, how about in cases like this, we start off what we didn't like? For movies that we liked, I say we start at what we didn't like and then do what we like. So, starting off with what we didn't like. Do you have anything right off the spot?
No, I'm gonna let you go and I'm gonna think about it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start with this right now. I feel like this movie doesn't do a good job of handling a lot of its villains. Green Goblin, wasn't a fan of him. I liked... Oh, actually, no, we'll save that part. But, like, he became Goblin. I feel like that should have been in the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Have the post-credit scene be showing Green Goblin. But in this movie, it really only felt like he was there to shoehorn in the death of Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, and that's just not... I mean, okay, that scene, all things considered, everything about the way it was filmed, the timing of it was good. The only problem is Harry. Like, he should not have been...
He shouldn't have become the Goblin.
Exactly.
He shouldn't have become the Goblin right before the final act of the movie. It should have been him in the post-credit scene to maybe have that be a big plot point in the third movie. But here, it just felt so shoehorned in. And it's just the Goblin aspect of his character, though, because more in depth with this, I like Harry.
You do?
I actually like Harry. But when he became Goblin, I'm just like, this was pointless.
There are parts of Harry that I do like.
I actually really like
I think he looks dumb. I don't like the way he looks. But, I mean, you can't really... I can't critique that too much because he can't help how he looks, but...
Yeah. One other thing. Rhino. What was his point?
Yeah, what?
He was there as a thug at the beginning of the movie.
Which is fine.
It's fine to have him as a thug. It's kind of like a wink to people who are like, oh, guess who he is? But then shoehorning him in at the end in that mech suit, I thought was so pointless. Sony tried way too hard to try and set up a Sinister Six movie, and that's what killed this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But Rhino was pointless. Green Goblin was pointless. This sort of straddles it. I'm very indifferent. This is sort of like a middle ground. I'm indifferent on Electro.
I like Electro.
I like him. I feel like, in terms of what puts him sort of on the edge, that he has some lines where I'm just like, I don't know. Some of his lines just kind of struck me wrong. But, I mean, I didn't mind him, but he's sort of in the middle. Another thing I'm sort of indifferent on, diving more into Peter's parents.
You don't like that?
I say I'm indifferent on that. I really don't think they should have spent this much time exploring it. Like,
I totally disagree. I think that's one of the... I mean, I'm not, like, saying
like I
you're
said,
wrong
it's something I'm indifferent on. It's something where, like, I don't mind it, but I can see the complaints about it.
Yeah. But, I mean... Yeah, I don't know. I can't complain about it, dude. I loved the whole... How... You know, because Peter's parents were such a mystery. You know, all we know is that they died when he was a kid.
Even in the comics, they're a big mystery too.
I just kind of like how it all tied into how Peter became Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I think that was really smart. I think it was... I don't know. I like it a lot, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I, like, absolutely hate. It really just depends on just how I feel about it at times, because other times I think it's great. Sometimes I think it's but...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad. Let's see, what else was there?
Hey, but Mary Parker looked perfect, comic accurate. That comic I gave you, in there is, I mean, Mary's in there. And the woman that they had play Mary in this one, dude, it's it's like they took him from the. I mean, it's absurd. They look exactly alike. It's crazy. Anyway,
I'll have to find time to get around to actually reading that because I still haven't had time yet. But let's see, what else was there? Really, Goblin and Rhino like are some of my big, and like just trying to shoehorn into Sinister Six are really my biggest problems with this movie. Because everything else I have are sort of nitpicks, really. I mean, we can jump back there, but I guess we could just go ahead and jump right into the good, because I can't think of any other.
I got one.
You got one? Go ahead.
I am ticked. And I don't know if this is a movie flaw, if this is just something that I saw and I was like just mad about, but the way Harry went about, and also Harry wasn't supposed to get sick that fast. That's not talked about. His dad was like what, in his 50s, 60s?
Yeah.
And then Harry's just like, oh, I gotta get this cured now. Like, no, you don't. You got time.
Yeah.
And if he'd have just waited a little longer, but instead he just decided to be angry at his best friend. For what?
Yeah.
The way he became Green Goblin and the way he handled the situation was just annoying. Like, it wasn't like, it's not relatable at all. It's just like, oh, I'm a spoiled rich kid. And that's just kind of what, like, ticked me off, honestly.
Okay, yeah, that's the biggest thing about his character I didn't like. Because even I'll admit, it's... Because the scene where Spidey goes to talk to him, and then he's like, I don't have
You're
time.
a fraud, Spider-Man.
That whole scene. I will admit that. I'm just like, Harry, it's not going to take that long to make sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if it's revealed that his blood can't save you, at that point, you don't have anything else. Because if...
Yeah, it's not like but the thing is, he like totally misunderstood. He's like, Spider-Man, he won't help me. When? Like, no, that's not it.
No, it's...
But
really
it's also important to realize, had he have waited and used Peter's blood, because Peter's blood's the only thing that works.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about that?
Yeah.
Because, dude, I mean, if he'd have just waited...
But for all we know, it might not
got...
have, because when we learn later on that, you know, it's the spider blood, and the fact that it was only compatible, the fact that it was Richard Parker's DNA, and the only person that it could have ever worked properly on was Peter.
But Peter could he not have used it for Harry?
He might have. It just we don't know, because they never go that in depth with it, because Harry just turns on him so quickly and uses another method so fast. We don't know the specifics.
That's annoying.
Yeah,
it's just so annoying. Like, I don't know.
That was an annoying part. Let's see. Do we want to jump straight in? Do we want to jump to the good?
Yeah.
Let's start off with the big one. That freaking suit. That is the most
so beautiful.
That is the most beautiful Spider-Man suit I think I have ever seen in any live-action Spider-Man or Marvel. It's up there for one of my favorite live-action Marvel suits.
Oh, it's my favorite.
This suit is beautiful. Everything from the designs to just... It looks like it was ripped right out of the comics.
It's so beautiful.
That suit is fantastic.
You know,
it's up there. It's up there with the PS4 suit as my favorite Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite parts about this movie just because it's beautiful.
You like the PS4 suit the most?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's up there.
It's solid. I loved it, dude.
But another thing I will say, the music.
So good.
That first shot where we see the two of the best things in this movie right off the bat. We see the Spider-Man suit and that song
intro.
That song in particular, where he's first swinging, I have that freaking downloaded. It's so good. Just all the music all throughout this movie is just, it's so epic. Like, when you hear that music, you're like, you want to go out and fight some dudes.
Yeah. Dude, another thing you got to think about, at the beginning, along with the music, dude is an established web slinger by this point. He is established. He is killing it.
Oh, yeah. I love all the scenes where, like, at the beginning where he's stopping the car chase. Like, he's swinging with style. Also, if Andrew would like this in the first movie, because this is him, like, at his best performance in terms of Peter and Spider-Man.
Oh, dude, he was...
If he was
perfect
like
Spider-Man in this movie.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. if he was like this in the first movie, I would again argue for him being the best Spider-Man up there with Tom. Music is great. The suit is freaking beautiful. Once again, the quips are you a hugger? I'm a killer. Oh, okay.
You can call me Spider-Man. You can call me Webhead. You can just don't call me late for dinner. Get it?
I love that. His quips in this movie are when he sees Electro in the final battle. He's like, I will be like a god to them. A god named Sparkles. He's at his prime in this movie. If he was like, I think he's solid in this movie. Let's see. Once again, the chemistry between Peter and Gwen.
Beautiful.
If the movie had focused on, because Mark Webb wanted to solely focus on this aspect and not the Sinister Six, but because of Sony's interference, yet again, it really screwed the movie. Because if this movie were just about their relationship,
yeah,
I feel like we would have gotten an Amazing Spider-Man 3, and this movie wouldn't have been received so poorly.
I agree.
Because once again, their chemistry in this scene is phenomenal. Like, you believe... It helped because I believe they were also dating at the time.
Yeah, it was just so authentic.
Yeah, the chemistry is top-notch. Once again, the acting from Andrew and Emma Stone is phenomenal. I love when... Once again, we see how smart Peter is. When Electro fries his web shooter, you see, like, you have an entire montage of him fixing his web shooter.
Yeah, and also, I like to point out, Gwen helped, and she's not, like, a hindrance like Mary Jane.
Because that's something, like, something I didn't really bring up in the last one, but I'll bring up here. Spider-Man would have lost both of these movies if it weren't for Gwen. He wouldn't have had the antidote for the lizard formula without Gwen, and he would have been fried by Electro if Gwen hadn't drove it to Electro with a freaking police car.
You know what's crazy? I've been playing the PS4 game lately, and the MJ in the game is basically Gwen.
She's like Gwen mixed with Lois Lane.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
it works.
Yeah.
I mean, that game in general was just fantastic, but yeah, it's like their chemistry. I love the scene where Electro fries the entire city and Spider-Man swings in with Gwen, and then the cops shout down the microphone, and he turns around, Spider-Man, and Peter's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Apart from the whole Harry, like, dying, be like, I'm in a hurry, I liked the other parts of him with Peter. Like, when he reunites with Peter,
that was good.
I think those were good scenes. Yeah. It's just when he's starting to get in a rush to be like, oh, I don't have enough time, that's when his character starts going a little downhill. And then when he becomes Goblin, he falls so far down.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that when they first reunite. Like the whole scene where he goes, "You got your braces off." That's a great scene, dude. I was like, let's go. That just made me happy. I was like, Harry and Peter, the boys.
Yeah, it just suffers from the fact that what helped with the Raimi trilogy was like that was like one of the first things we see is their friendship, and that's one of the big plot points throughout that entire trilogy is just those two together.
Right.
Also, I'm going to make a quick tangent. For any of y'all saying that in the recent No Way Home trailer, that because I know I pointed this out, saying that the black figure is Harry, it's not. I'm telling you right now.
They're not going to hire James Franco right now.
I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be. Some people are like, oh, well, it looks like that. No, he never wore goggles. And if you look closely, it looks like his suit is green. And look at the glider. Harry's glider was much more of a skateboard design. This is very much like Norman's design. And just the design in general, from the small glimpse that we get from it, lines up with the leaked set image. Yeah, I just had to say that immediately because I've seen so many people say that. I'm just like, there's way more evidence to it being Norman than there is to being Harry. There's no evidence that it's Harry. But anyways, getting back to this, I just had to do that weird tangent. What else was there? Some of the fight scenes in this movie. The fight scene in Times Square, and even the fight scene against Electro, and even the one against Goblin.
Where he like split his webs.
That was all slow motion shot. I was
so cool.
It was so good. And again, the music on top of that. Put that music on any scene, it'll make anything epic. Like that Times Square fight was beautiful. The one against Electro at the end was amazing, and even the one against Goblin, as rushed as it was.
Yeah, dude,
was still great.
He dogs him, dude. He dogs him.
I'm upset that there was a deleted scene of, because that's another thing we gotta talk about, Gwens Death. That scene hurt.
It always hurts. And even... Well, we're not going to talk about the trailer yet, are we? Because have you seen the theory where Andrew is grabbing Mary Jane?
We'll go ahead and bring that up.
Yeah. Guys, this is like a heart-ripping scene.
I first watched it in the theater because I think I watched the opening day with my brother and all of them. I first saw that scene. I cried. Like, I knew it was coming because somebody spoiled it to me. But, like, I saw that and I was just like, it hurt.
I didn't know if they were going to do it in that movie. I just know that it happened similarly in the comics. But, dude, I mean, it was just brought to life so well. And it doesn't get enough credit.
Straight down to the clothing, too.
Exactly. Bro, it doesn't get enough credit. A lot of things in this movie does not get near enough credit. Just because of all of the, the little things that Sony put in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's so much good in this movie. It's one of my... this is actually the first Spider-Man movie I saw in theaters.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude.
My first one was the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I was allowed to watch... I wasn't allowed to watch like action movies, but then I watched them all at once.
Right, a little before then, I was in a similar boat, but when I watched Avengers and all that in theaters, when that sort of changed around. But yeah, that scene was just gut-wrenching. I'm upset that they took out this deleted scene, which they didn't... Well, it wasn't even a deleted scene, it was just one that never finished, where Peter, like, goes back up there, like, without his mask on, and nearly kills Harry. There's, like,
I have not seen that. Is that on YouTube?
No, like, it was never something that they finished. There was just some photos. Like, there's one of, like, Goblin on the ground, like, all bruised, like, his face all bruised up, and, like, Peter, like, yelling as he's holding Goblin above him.
I want to see.
I'll try putting them on here, and I'll be sure to send them to you, because I watched those, and I was so upset that it wasn't a deleted scene, because that's a scene I would have loved to watch.
Yeah.
Because similar to the comics, Gwen dies, and Peter goes on a rampage. Nearly kills Goblin, but then after that is the whole, like, the glider hitting.
But it was Norman.
Yeah, it was Norman instead of Harry.
Comics.
It was Norman instead of Harry. I like the dynamics in this movie between Peter and Ant-Man. Like,
Yeah.
you really feel like Andrew Garfield.
Okay, laundry sheriff.
Like, the chemistry that all the actors have are really spot on. I got another thing I don't like. Jameson.
Yeah, they just totally left him out, but they could have put him in.
He was in. He's name dropped like once or twice, and then you just see Peter emailing him, and you just get an email back from just him screaming "wrong." That's it. I get it. You don't want to replace J.K. Simmons, but I'm just like,
They could have at least had him like audibly, like, because whenever they were talking about like the public's opinion on Spider-Man at the beginning, somewhat they were like all spouting out their opinions. They could have at least put in a version of J.
They could have put in a
Jameson.
voice, like, just saying to him and let it be known, like, have him shouting Spider-Man's
a menace. Just have that in there. It's gotta be in there.
That's just one thing I didn't like. So
but can I talk about Jamie Foxx real quick?
Go ahead.
I don't know how you feel about this, and you could tell me if you disagree, but I love the way they introduced him. I love how they like totally took his character from 0 to 100. Like he's like all,
He's a nobody.
He's a nobody. Like he's a nobody, and he gets saved, and you see how beautiful of a hero Spider-Man is. He's like, you're my eyes and ears out there. You're not a nobody. You're a somebody.
I love that scene.
It just made it's so heartwarming, and it's like, dang, everybody loves Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man is New York's hero, and it's like so evident in this movie, and I love it. I just can't get over it. And then we see Electro's character development after getting dogged and beat down emotionally by his employees and stuff. Dude, I love how Jamie Foxx portrayed Electro. I do. I wish it would have been Yellow Lightning, though. I wish it would have been a different suit. But I can't really complain because that's really cool. Like the way they did that in 2014. That's pretty cool.
Because they tried to take this design much more in terms of this and the Rhino suit, because Rhino was stupid, but I didn't mind the big mechanical suit.
I didn't either, but I kind of
That's one more thing, which will be a good way to wrap it up. But getting back to that, because they were trying to base it more off of the Ultimate Comics looks, which makes sense, because the Spider-Man suit is supposed to is taking a lot of inspiration from the Ultimate Comics. So I can understand that part. But yeah, I don't mind its design. I can agree with you on the character development, because I didn't mind Electro either. He wasn't the greatest, but he wasn't bad by any means.
No.
It's not as bad as other people make him out to be. That's another thing, because this is something I hated when I first saw, but the more I watch it, I really like. The very final scene of this movie. Yes, Rhino's stupid, but like after Gwen's death, Peter stops being Spider-Man for about like 5 or 6 months.
It's a beautiful scene, honestly.
And I hate that. And speaking of deleted scenes, the scene where like him and his dad.
I love it. Don't you dare start in. I love it.
Oh no! Oh, I was not all saying that was bad. That was a great scene.
It was beautiful. Like all things aside, like realistically, all that realistic
the
expectation.
Emotion that
set
Andrew
that aside.
brings.
It's a beautiful and awesome scene. Like Andrew is killing it.
Like you really hear like the despair in his voice.
Yes.
Like you really hear him like just breaking down. And I'm just like, this guy doesn't get anywhere near enough credit as he should.
He's so disrespected. And that's another thing. That's another thing that plays into why I like that his parents are bigger characters in this trilogy. I love it. It's so much more closure.
Yeah.
I needed that. After I watched the first 3 of the Sam Raimi trilogy, I needed that.
Yeah.
And I got it, and I loved it, man. And I still love it.
Yeah, I'll
Had
switch
so
the whole
much
thing.
fun with
I'll
it.
switch the whole thing of Peter's parents to the good category on that
Yeah.
note, because it's another thing I feel like it's way more hate. But back to the very final scene. Yes, Rhino's stupid, but the scene where Peter, like the kid that Peter saves in that montage, he like is in a Spider-Man costume. He runs out there, and I'm just like, this kid is something else.
Yeah.
And then you just hear those swinging, and then you see Spider-Man there. On behalf of the good people of New York City, real rhinos everywhere, I ask you to put your mechanized paws in the air. I love that.
It's wonderful.
And then, again, the final shot where you have that music and he's about to fight Rhino, but then the movie ends. Originally, I hated that. But when I rewatched it a couple of years ago, for the first time, because I didn't rewatch this movie too much several years ago, but I do a lot more now. I love the way it ends.
I do too.
Because it's not about like it's not supposed to be like
another fight scene. It's not about another fight scene. It's about
showing that Spider-Man is back.
Exactly, and it was beautiful. It was such a clean move too.
Yeah,
it was clean.
Because I remember being very disappointed when I first saw that in theaters, because that was like this ending shot of a lot of trailers, and then it's how the movie ended. I was like, really? But upon looking at it, I'm just like, it's just to show that Spider-Man's back, and I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Ratings. What would you rate it?
If you had to guess my rating, what would it be?
I'm gonna guess about maybe like an 8 for you.
8.25.
8.25. I'm gonna... I once again don't care. I'm giving it 8.5. Fight me! Yes, it's the same score that I gave Spider-Man 2. I don't, I'm just going off of a subjective standpoint. Objectively, yes, I understand all of its problems. But both of the Amazing Spider-Man movies are just movies that I think get way more hate than they deserve. The action is good. Pretty much all the acting is phenomenal. The chemistry is great. The suits look great. This franchise gets way more hate than it deserves.
It had so much potential too, and I think it's gonna all redeem itself in this No Way Home film.
Oh,
we
got a month. We got a month.
You can't keep reminding me, dude. I like wake up and I think about Spider-Man. You know how like obsessive I am about this? Like I can't stop thinking.
Everybody watching knows how much I am. Yeah, I'm sticking with 8.5. Just because, like, when I want to rewatch a Spider-Man movie, this is one of the first ones that comes to mind. I really like it. So, that's going to wrap up the Andrew Garfield movies, sadly. Next week, we jump right into the Tom Holland movies for a little bit, with Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm really excited for this one, too.
I am too, man. I could talk a long time about it, too.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm glad we're sticking with this new format, because this will help keep the videos a lot shorter. So, I really hope y'all enjoyed this review of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Hope you guys like my reaction video. I do plan on doing a lot more because I figured out a way to be able to do reaction videos a lot more now. So I'm planning on doing them a whole lot more, so be sure to stay tuned for more of those. Stay tuned next week for Spider-Man Homecoming, and stay tuned for Saturday for a review of Eternals. But I'm going to upload it on Saturday. But yeah, that's going to do it, so stay tuned for those. Hope y'all enjoyed, and see y'all later.
Excelsior!